Have you ever felt like your mind is under attack and your emotions are holding the knife? You want to stay calm. You want to respond with clarity. But instead, you react. You overthink. You spiral. This isn't weakness. It's a habit. And most men have never been taught how to break it. Your mind and your emotions, two forces meant to work together, often end up tearing you apart. One screams, the other shuts down. And you're left stuck in that silent war between overreaction and numbness. But Stoicism offers a different way. The Stoics believe that peace is not the absence of pressure, but the presence of power within. They didn't chase emotional highs or hide from discomfort. They trained their minds to stay still, to respond with reason, and to act with intention. In this video, you'll learn 7 powerful Stoic principles to calm your mind and master your emotions. These are not vague affirmations or temporary tricks. These are daily mental exercises designed for real men in real pressure. You're not broken, you're just untrained. And that changes today. If you've ever snapped when you didn't want to, felt ashamed after reacting, or wished for a calm, focused mind under stress, you're not alone. You're exactly who this was made for. So stay with me. And if this video helps you regain control, like it, subscribe, and share it with another man who needs this. Let's get to work. The Stoic way. 1. Don't let the storm outside enter your mind. A man can lose everything the moment he lets chaos take hold inside. Not because the world is falling apart, but because he lets it enter him. It starts small. A coworker talks down to you. Your partner says something sharp. Someone cuts you off in traffic. And suddenly, you're no longer in control. You clench your fists, your chest tightens, the world pulls your strings, and you move like a puppet. Most men believe this is normal. I have a temper, they say. He made me angry. But stop and think, who really holds the power here? What you let in, you empower. And in that moment of letting external chaos invade your inner world, you lose the one thing Stoicism trains you to protect above all else, your emotional self-command. The Stoics didn't promise a calm world. They taught you how to remain calm within it. Marcus Aurelius, facing war and betrayal, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The battlefield isn't out there. It's in your reaction. And the enemy isn't them. It's your untrained instinct to absorb every disturbance as if it belongs inside you. We live in an age of endless triggers. From news headlines to passive-aggressive emails, from social media outrage to silent judgments in a room, you will be provoked. But that does not mean you must be possessed. You are not required to answer every emotional invitation with a reaction. A Stoic man knows this. He builds what the modern world lacks, an internal gate. Imagine this, you're in a boardroom. Someone mocks your idea. Everyone turns, eyes on you. You feel it rising, the heat, the heartbeat. But instead of snapping, you do nothing. Not out of weakness, but strength. Because you've trained for this. You recognize the storm, but you don't let it enter. You choose silence. You choose breath. You choose a command. That's not avoidance. That's discipline. Most men have been taught to react. It's what we saw growing up. Fathers yelling, men proving their dominance through volume or fists. But all that noise hides one thing: fear. The fear of appearing weak. The fear of not being respected. The Stoic flips that. He knows a calm man is not afraid of being misunderstood. He doesn't seek to win moments. He seeks to own himself. And yet here's the truth. You will fail at this many times. You will snap. You will regret. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're still learning, still rewiring old responses. The point is not to never feel anger, it's not to obey it. The moment you feel provoked is your training ground. That's when you ask, not out loud, but within. Do I want to let this in? Is this mine to carry? Because what enters, stays, and what stays shapes you. Stoicism isn't cold indifference. It's refined control. It's the skill of deciding what lives in your head and what dies at the gate. You don't need the world to be quiet for you to be still. You need only remember who owns your reaction. So next time the pressure comes, pause. Don't flinch. Don't fight. Let it hit the gate and stand still. That stillness isn't surrender. It's where the real war is won. In practice, choose one trigger today, just one. Don't fight it, don't react. Simply notice it and choose not to let it in. That's where control begins. And that's where you begin, too. Speak to yourself with kindness and clarity. No one hears your voice more than you, and yet most men speak to themselves in ways they'd never allow from anyone else. It happens quietly. After a mistake, you mutter, "Idiot." You forget something and your first thought is, "What's wrong with me?" You try, fail, and then say, "Of course I can't do this." These aren't just throwaway thoughts. They're bricks. And brick by brick, you build a prison of self-attack that keeps your mind on edge, your emotions tight, and your confidence bleeding out. The war outside is hard enough, but most of us are losing a silent war within. Stoicism doesn't ignore this war. It faces it directly. The Stoics believed your internal world was your domain, the battlefield of thoughts, judgments, and emotions. This is where your freedom begins or dies. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, wrote not for others but to himself. His meditations were weapons, cutting through self-pity, ego, and doubt. He didn't flatter himself, but he didn't attack himself either. He corrected himself with clarity, not cruelty. That's a powerful difference. Most men confuse self-criticism with self-mastery. They believe if they're hard enough on themselves, they'll finally become strong. But in truth, the harsh voice doesn't sharpen you. It slowly erodes you. It doesn't build discipline, it builds shame. And shame doesn't make you grow. It makes you hide. What Stoicism teaches instead is this: speak to yourself like a man worth leading, because you are. And if your mind is your territory, your self-talk is your command center. Picture this. It's late. You've broken a promise to yourself again. Skipped the gym, snapped at someone, failed to follow through. You feel that familiar anger rising, not at the world, but at you. And this is the crossroads. You can either lash inward with judgment or pause and give your mind something better. You can say, "I missed it today, but I still choose strength tomorrow." That shift? That's emotional self-mastery. It's not letting guilt control your next step. It's guiding yourself with firm clarity instead of emotional punishment. The problem is that men are conditioned to see gentleness as weakness. We're told that unless the voice in our head is aggressive, we won't change. But that voice often leads to paralysis, not progress. What builds resilience is direction, not condemnation. And Stoicism is deeply directional. It always points forward, always asks, what's in your control? What will you do next? This is not about ego boosting or positive fluff. Stoic self-talk is rooted in truth, not fantasy. It says, you are flawed, yes, but also capable. You failed, sure, but you're not finished. It challenges you without shaming you. And that balance is where real power grows. The next time your thoughts turn against you, interrupt them. Not with noise, but with a sentence that brings you back to control. Say, I don't need to attack myself to move forward. Then redirect. Name what you'll do now, not what you didn't do yesterday, because your future isn't shaped by regret, it's shaped by repetition. Speak to yourself in the way you want your mind to grow. What you repeat, you reinforce. In practice, start each morning with one quiet sentence, not a chant, not a mantra, just a choice. Today I choose clarity over chaos. Write it, whisper it, live it. That voice becomes your rhythm, and in time it becomes your edge. 3. The present moment is where peace lives. A distracted mind is a disturbed mind, and most men live far away from the only place peace is possible, right here, right now. We replay past mistakes like broken records. We fast forward through worst-case scenarios that haven't happened yet. Meanwhile, the present, where action lives, is left abandoned. You may be physically in one place, but mentally lost in another. That disconnection is the root of emotional noise. The mind scattered in 10 directions has no clarity, no control, no strength. Stoicism grounds everything in the present, not because the past doesn't matter or the future isn't important, but because neither is under your control right now. What's real is this moment, what you choose, what you allow, what you say, do, and believe now. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, confine yourself to the present, not as an escape, but as a strategy. When your mind is fully here, it can act with intention. When it's elsewhere, it reacts from emotion. But most men don't know they've left the present. They think overthinking is preparation. They confuse fear with foresight. They believe that by reliving the past, they'll somehow fix it. But the past doesn't need repair, it needs release. And the future doesn't need control, it needs presence. Every time you drift, your emotional system gets hijacked, by something you can't touch. That's how stress builds. That's how anxiety spreads. That's how you lose your edge, quietly, invisibly. Think of your mind like a sword. When sharpened in the present, it cuts clean through distraction. But when left exposed to the storms of memory and fantasy, it rusts. It loses precision. You lose timing. And timing for a man is everything. Calm isn't just about slowing down. It's about knowing when to move. But you can't move with clarity if your feet aren't planted in the moment. Imagine this. You're having dinner with your family. You're there, but you're not. You're thinking about work tomorrow, the argument earlier, and the email you haven't answered. Your body is present, but your mind is scattered across timelines. And so the meal passes. The connection fades. You were there, but you weren't in it. That's how entire years are lost, one unpresent moment at a time. The Stoic doesn't live like that. He trains his mind to return. When distractions rise, he doesn't chase them. He notices and resets. When pain resurfaces, he doesn't wrestle it. He accepts and refocuses. When fear whispers, he doesn't argue. He breathes and acts. Because the present isn't just a peaceful place. It's a powerful place. And that's where emotional control begins, not in running from feelings, but in facing them fully, now. This is where most men fail. They try to outthink emotions. They want to plan for everything before they feel anything. But Stoicism is not about pre-solving. It's about being stable in the moment, especially when the answers aren't clear. Your calm doesn't come from having control over all things. It comes from being in full control of your attention, now. So how do you train this? Simple. Throughout the day, catch yourself. When your thoughts spiral into yesterday or tomorrow, pause and ask, where am I? Then return to what's right in front of you. Look, listen, breathe, respond. The more you practice, the faster you return. And the faster you return, the calmer your mind becomes. Start now. This very moment is all you ever truly own. And when your mind fully inhabits it, something powerful happens. Your emotions stop leading you and you start leading yourself. That's presence. That's peace. That's the foundation of everything else. 4. Let go of what no longer brings you peace. How many things are you still carrying that no longer serve you? Not physically, but emotionally. Old grudges, past failures, the betrayal that still echoes in your chest, the guilt that won't let you breathe fully. Every man has a mental shelf where he stores the weight he doesn't know how to put down. And over time, that weight turns into restlessness, anger, anxiety, and a mind that cannot find silence. Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about freeing space in your inner world for strength to return. We often confuse holding on with being strong. We think if we remember the pain, we stay in control. But what actually happens is that the pain remembers us. It interrupts our focus, hijacks our reactions, and buries our calm beneath old stories. Stoicism approaches this differently. It teaches that attachment to what no longer aligns with reason is the root of suffering. What happened may have shaped you, but it does not deserve to define you. A man who cannot let go is not anchored. He is chained. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." That includes the past. That includes how someone hurt you. That includes your own past mistakes. Carrying emotional residue doesn't give you control. It drains your ability to respond with clarity and strength. Letting go, paradoxically, is how you regain power. Imagine your mind as a house, cluttered with old furniture, broken frames, and piles of things that don't reflect who you are anymore. There's no room to move, no light. Every step you take bumps into something that should have been discarded years ago. You want peace, but you haven't made space for it. Letting go is the act of opening the windows, throwing out what's rotten, and choosing to live with only what supports your purpose. The mistake many men make is believing that release equals weakness. They hold on to anger as proof they still care. They grip pain because it feels like justice. But pain isn't justice, it's just repeated suffering. And the Stoic knows that resentment doesn't punish your enemy, it poisons your peace. True discipline is not in holding on, it's in deciding what's no longer worthy of your mind. Think about how much energy you spend rehearsing what should have gone differently. How many nights were stolen by replaying words that no longer matter? That energy could have built new strength, new focus, new clarity. But it didn't, because you were occupied defending memories. You can't build something new while being loyal to what broke you. Letting go doesn't mean you approve. It means you've stopped giving your emotional power to things outside your control. It means you choose stillness over struggle. A quiet mind is not empty, it's just not burdened. When you detach from old pain, you don't become cold, you become clear. And clarity is the birthplace of calm. Start with one thing, one grudge, one guilt, one wound. Acknowledge it, thank it for what it taught you. Then release it, not because you've forgotten, but because you're done living under it. You were not built to carry every burden forever. You were built to rise through them and to move forward with nothing in your way but purpose. Letting go is not an emotional collapse. It is an intentional reset. It is not weakness. It is silent power. The kind of power that doesn't shout. The kind that frees. And every time you choose it, you walk lighter, think clearly, and lead yourself with quiet authority. 5. Protect your energy from the unnecessary. Energy is your most valuable currency. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every reaction you give costs something. But most men don't realize how much they're spending on things that don't matter. You wake up with a limited supply each day. And yet, without noticing, you hand pieces of it to pointless arguments, imagined insults, people who drain you, and situations that don't deserve a second of your attention. By the afternoon, you're already empty. Not from action, but from reaction. What Stoicism makes clear is that peace isn't just a feeling. It's the result of preserved energy. You cannot feel centered if you've leaked your energy into distractions. The Stoic doesn't just control his words, he controls where his attention goes, and with it, his power. He doesn't engage in battles that offer no growth. He doesn't defend himself against nonsense. He knows that not everything deserves a response. But modern life makes this harder than ever. There's pressure to react instantly, to defend your image, to match other people's chaos with your own. Someone cuts you off, and your instinct is to chase. Someone mocks you online, and you fire back. A colleague says something passive-aggressive, and you stew on it all day. You don't even realize it. But by giving your energy to these things, you've handed over control. You're no longer acting. You're being pulled. The Stoic mindset flips that completely. It trains you to ask one thing before reacting. Is this worthy of my energy? And most of the time, the answer is no. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." There is never a need to turn things over in your mind. In other words, you can walk away mentally. Not to avoid reality, but to protect what matters most, your emotional self-control. Imagine walking through a hallway where every room is open, shouting your name, pulling your sleeve. Some doors hold urgent matters. Most don't. If you stop at every one, you'll never get where you're going. That's how distractions work. They don't always come with chaos. Sometimes they come wrapped in guilt, obligation, or social pressure. But you know the difference between what's essential and what's not, if you pause long enough to listen. There's a common mistake here. Many men think walking away equals weakness, that staying silent means surrender, not engaging means letting someone win. But when you understand what's truly worth your energy, you stop trying to win every moment. You start focusing on the long game, your clarity, your focus, your inner strength. Stoicism isn't about avoidance, it's about direction. You're not running, you're choosing where you walk. And this is where the emotional advantage lies. While others burn out chasing every distraction, you conserve. While they fight to be right, you invest in staying grounded. That's not passivity, it's precision. And emotional precision is rare in a world addicted to noise. Train this daily. When something provokes you, pause. Ask, will this matter tomorrow? Will it shape who I become? If not, breathe. Redirect. Your stillness becomes your shield. Your silence, your strategy, your energy, your edge. The truth is, no man loses his calm all at once. He loses it drip by drip, through petty reactions and meaningless conflicts. But a Stoic holds the line. He chooses when and where his energy flows. And in doing so, he protects what most others waste without thinking, the very power that makes him unshakable. 6. Be patient. Emotional calm takes practice. Everyone wants to be calm until life gives them a reason not to be. You try to stay centered, but one wrong word, one broken promise, one unexpected change, and the reaction takes over. You feel it surge through your chest before you even think. Then comes the shame. Why did I lose it again? I thought I was past this. But here's what most men never hear. Calm is not a trait. It's a skill. And like every real skill, it takes time, failure, and repetition to build. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about enduring without breaking. Emotional discipline doesn't show up in one moment of silence. It shows up in hundreds of imperfect decisions where you chose to pause instead of explode. The world tells you that strength is fast, decisive, and loud. But the Stoic knows that real strength is quiet, steady, and patient with progress. It doesn't demand instant results. It trusts the process. We've been conditioned to expect transformation in a single leap. One meditation, one book, one realization. But emotional mastery doesn't come like that. It comes like rebuilding a damaged foundation. Brick by brick, you learn to respond instead of react, to breathe before speaking, to hold space between emotion and action. That gap is where calm is born, and that gap only grows with patience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No great thing is created suddenly." He wasn't talking about monuments or empires. He was talking about the inner world, about character. You can't expect calm to bloom overnight in a mind that has been conditioned for chaos. That would be like planting seeds and shouting at them to grow. The Stoic cultivates. He doesn't force. He understands that growth in stillness is slow but powerful. This is where most men give up. They try for a few days, maybe a week, then they get triggered and think, this doesn't work. I'm just an angry person. But that's not failure. That's part of the training. Emotional calm isn't measured by never being shaken, it's measured by how quickly you return. The Stoic doesn't pretend he never feels the storm, he just refuses to become it. Picture a man walking uphill with a heavy pack. Every step is an effort, every inch earned. Then one slip, he falls a few feet. The average man drops everything and quits. The Stoic? He resets the pack, tightens the straps, and climbs again. Because he knows the goal is not to look perfect, but to become resilient. This kind of patience isn't soft, it's hard-earned. It takes grit to sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. It takes humility to admit you're still learning. It takes emotional strength to choose restraint even when anger feels justified. But that's where inner control is forged, in the friction between who you are and who you're becoming. So, how do you live this? Start by redefining success. Don't measure your growth by how many days you stayed perfectly calm. Measure it by how many times you noticed the rise and return to your center. When you slip, don't start over. Continue. When you fall short, don't shame yourself. Adjust. This mindset shift alone is a form of emotional strength. Each time you choose patience, you rewire your mind. Not all at once, but layer by layer. What once triggered you deeply will lose its grip. What once owned your energy will pass by like a shadow. And that quiet shift, that's how calm becomes your default. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. End each day with one simple reflection. Where did I return to myself today? Let that be enough. Because over time, that return becomes instinct. And instinct, trained with patience, is how the Stoic man stays calm, under pressure, in chaos, and in himself. Prepare for the worst, be grateful for the best. If you only feel calm when life is easy, then your peace is fragile. True calm is built in extremes, by knowing how to face the worst and how to truly appreciate the best without becoming attached to either. A man who's only strong when things go right is not strong, he's lucky. But luck runs out, storms come, people change, plans collapse. The Stoic doesn't just hope it won't happen, he trains for it. To prepare for the worst is not pessimism, it's self-respect. It's the mindset that says, I won't be caught off guard by life. It's not about fearing disaster, but rehearsing your response. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the practice of imagining the possible challenges ahead, not to worry, but to strengthen. You don't prepare because you expect failure. You prepare because chaos doesn't announce itself. Picture a firefighter. He doesn't wait for the fire to learn how to act. He walks through the steps, checks the gear, trains his breathing. So when the heat rises, he doesn't panic, he moves with purpose. Stoic preparation works the same way. You visualize the emotional fires before they come. You think, what if I lost that deal? What if she walks away? What if tomorrow changes everything? Not to scare yourself, but to meet those moments with clarity instead of collapse. At the same time, you don't just train for impact, you train your eyes for what's beautiful. Gratitude is the other half of calm. It roots you. While preparing for what might go wrong, you anchor yourself in what's already right. Because when you recognize how much is working in your life, your health, your awareness, your ability to change, you stop needing more just to feel okay. You don't chase emotional highs. You sit in the strength of enough. This duality is rare. Most men live on one side or the other, either always braced for the worst, tense, closed, bitter, or blind to it, floating in comfort until reality hits. But the Stoic lives in both. He accepts the weight of what could fall apart and still chooses to admire what's whole today. He doesn't numb, he balances. Many confuse this balance with indifference. They think, if I prepare for loss, I'll stop enjoying what I have. But that's backwards. You enjoy it more because you know it's not forever. You say thank you not out of obligation, but because you understand how easily it could be gone. That mindset turns ordinary moments into sharp clarity. The way your child laughs, the feeling of breath on a quiet morning, the silence after surviving something hard. And when things do go wrong, you don't flinch. You were ready, not because you expected suffering, but because you respected life enough to prepare for both sides. You're not caught begging for calm. You've been training in it. That is how Stoicism turns inner peace into a practiced discipline, not an accident. So how do you live this? Every morning, take 2 minutes. First, visualize one difficulty you may face today. Breathe through it. Picture yourself responding with control. Then, name one thing you're grateful for, something you'd miss if it disappeared. Let it slow you down. Let it wake you up. That is how you build the emotional resilience no one sees, but everyone feels when they're around you. A man who expects nothing but prepares for everything. A man who holds gratitude in one hand and strength in the other. A man who doesn't just survive life, but meets it with steady, trained calm, no matter what it brings. Calm isn't something you find. It's something you build. And like anything built with strength, it takes patience, repetition, and clarity of purpose. Today, we walked through 7 principles from Stoic philosophy that help you take back control, not just of what you feel, but how you respond, how you lead yourself, and how you protect your energy. You've seen that staying calm isn't weakness, it's wisdom in motion. Your inner peace does not come from comfort, but from training your mind to stay grounded when everything around you shakes. You've learned how to stay present, how to speak to yourself with clarity, how to walk away from the chaos without guilt, and how to be still when emotion demands noise. The world will keep testing you, but from now on, you don't have to react out of habit. You get to respond from a discipline. That's what Stoicism teaches. Calm is a habit. Strength is restraint. Peace is a choice you make each moment, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. So make this real. Don't just listen. Practice. Pick one of these habits and repeat it every day. Start your morning with intention. Pause when pressure hits. Protect your emotional energy like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. With each choice, you train your mind toward emotional clarity, inner peace, and resilience under pressure. And now I want to hear from you. Which idea hit you the hardest? What challenge are you learning to face with calm? Share your story below. You never know who your honesty will help. Keep showing up, keep strengthening your calm, one moment at a time.